This is the Power of One podcast, episode 11. Your voice matters. Your words, your actions, and your pride will be heard throughout the world. And never let hatred and discrimination push you down. But remember, play smart and be safe. Also, I have a special guest that will like to share his wisdom and accomplishments on how he keeps moving forward and let his voice to be heard based on who he is. Let's go. If you have been listening to the Power of One podcast, I usually say something while the music is being played, but not this episode right now. No. Yet again, the year of 2020 wants to bring more sadness, despair, fear, frustration, and the word that I hate the most, negativity. Despite what this year brought, know this. Never let it keep you down, nor make you silent. Push forward and never be held back. If you want to do something or say something, and you want society, or better, the whole world, to hear and see your motive, your ideas, your driven passion that will connect with others based on what they need and the emotion that they felt or what you felt, your voice that can be expressed on based on words, books, actions, art, or being yourself, that truly matters. But remember, there are outcomes that will either go good or bad, and you must be prepared for that by any means necessary, which is why I implore you all to always play smart and be safe. You know what? Let me stop playing the bush around the bush right now. This episode is based on what happened last week. Yes, the voice that matters the most, and finally get the recognition that it needs to be listened and seen throughout the whole world, is a movement known as Black Lives Matters. And I stand by it. This movement has been going on for years because many African Americans like myself don't like to be discriminated, hated, and treated unfairly because of our skin color and who we are. Just like everybody else in this planet, we are human beings who wants to reach our dreams, support our loved ones, and live our life to the fullest. However, racism is becoming a brick wall full of negativity, and it's people telling us no, seeing us as criminals, and certain police officers that supposed to be protect and serve whatever crap wants to beat us down, humiliate us, and leave us for dead. Many African Americans have seen and witnessed police brutality, and now and as of right now, they feel heartbroken and raged for fallen victims who did not receive the justice that they need. And that's where enough is enough. And last week was the ultimate stand. The whole world is now listening and seeing what this movement is truly about, based on a voice that can be transmitted by many messages. For example, a voice can be called of action. What we've seen from last week, millions across the globe marched for peace and standing against those who said no. A voice can be used as words, obviously, that can be shout, yell, scream, and to be made as speeches that will touch and connect people emotions and understand your motives. Voice is pride, and if you're a prideful person, you can be proud of what you stand for and what you believe. Voice can be expressed by art, based on music, clothing, poetry, graphic design, film, and even typed in one word. I know many of you want to take a stand for something that will be good for anyone who agree with you with your motives and mission. But as I said before, to play smart and be safe, there is always an outcome that can go either good or bad. Sometimes when you send a message that is okay and harmless from the start and the beginning, there are some people that take the message into the wrongful direction. Based on the protests over last week, the Black Lives Matter movement is a peaceful movement, and we want to protest peacefully and demand rights and justice. However, there are a few people that stand by the movement that take the message in the wrong way by using violence, fighting physically against police, people, destroying stores, businesses, vehicles, and many people are again getting killed and seriously be injured. Don't you think it's bad enough that a deadly virus in the course of the past 3 or 4 months have been killing us each day? But killing each other based on hatred, discrimination, and racism? That's too much. "2020, am I right?" All we want is peace and justice. All we want is to live together as one. And that is the power. If you have an idea and your voice want to be heard and followed, please think on how your plan will go. Be ready on what the results will follow, whether it's good or bad. Please make sure that you, your friends, family, and other people that support you and your end goal to be safe and alive. Now, my special guest for this episode is a family man, an author, and an account executive of a tech company known as Toshiba, Eddie Thompson. And I want to ask you a few questions, Eddie, such as, delivering a message and playing smart and being safe. Eddie, your take?
Absolutely. I think the primary thing that you can do is, like you said, is being smart in what's happening right now. So obviously, I know the rage and the frustration and everything else is there, but you still got to consider your own actions and what they mean to people. So, something that we were kind of dovetailing off of a little bit is I'm pro-life, so I don't believe in killing anybody. I don't think murder is the answer for any crimes, for anything that's actually being done. And that's just my personal belief. I know a lot of people don't think that way, but I feel as though every person is important. Every individual makes mistakes because we're not perfect people, right? It's only one perfect person that ever walked the earth. So I know the overall thought of being able to say, like, you know what, I'm going to take this to the extreme and I want to go start hurting people and looting businesses and start, creating and returning violence with violence. That's just not my mentality. I feel like that doesn't actually solve anything. All it does is create more frustration. It creates more pain. It creates more sadness, especially in the communities that are already, dealing with brokenness and poverty and poor thought process and mindset. So, my overall perspective is that if you're wanting to be a positive change, use your voice for good. I think, like you were just talking about, my man, it's not necessarily just your words individually, but it's also your actions. I don't know if you're probably also very involved on social medias and things like that, but I saw a recent post that basically communicated that everybody's fighting this battle from different angles. Not every single person is going to be on the front lines actually protesting out and about and marching, but some people are going to be, utilizing their social media channels. Other people are going to be organizing communications and roundtable discussions. So you got to figure out where you fit in that broad scope of how to communicate a message, and then do the best with what you have. I think, and don't. I mean, that's just my mindset. I just don't turn to violence in itself, because again, it's just that person also is a son. The person that you're plotting against is like I said, a son. There could be a father. It's a mother. It's a daughter. So you're taking a loved one from somebody else. Which again, I can see how some people can look at it from a perspective of they did it to us, so I'm gonna take it back, kind of like that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type of situation. But I don't know about you, but I'm a huge believer in faith. I think Jesus Christ is the answer to a lot of these things. So the entire thought process is love thy neighbor. So that is my mindset.
Right. And does your voice cannot. Sorry, your voice, can it be about yourself, being you as a person?
Absolutely. I think it's important for when you're communicating with anyone that your voice, you don't speak for everybody. So my perspective, I feel like sometimes, especially with social media and things, that's kind of like a trade-off. Obviously, it's great that we have social media and things are out and about and you can receive information and process that information so freely. But I think the biggest con about that is that some people take the thoughts of one individual and then label it for the entire race or the entire body of that person, or like the race or the ethnicities and things that they represent. So I think being very specific about your own experiences and communicating like, hey, I'm not speaking for everyone here, but I'm speaking for myself individually and what I believe. And then that is the way that you communicate, and that is not received poorly by anyone else who's listening. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense. And as we reopen, around this week, what is, the learning point on how do we stay together as one?
I think the learning point is, again, I keep on coming back to this, but it's communication. I think when you start to try to have people to present to you what needs to happen, right? Like, so for example, if somebody's just trying to, get on a news show or something like that, instead of actually facilitating it like a discussion and a conversation, but instead they start just dictating, hey, this is what needs to happen, and you need to do this, you need to do that. All that does is create a lot of walls to go up, because people are not necessarily included in that interaction. They're just kind of being told what to do. And I don't know about you, but I hate being told what to do. I feel as though you can tell me a suggestion or what you think or a belief and kind of add your thought to the pool, and we can have a discussion about it, but don't just flat out tell me what to do, right? So from that perspective, I think coming back to communication, I think what we should be doing is organizing, especially at the local level, discussions, but not discussions that just include all one side. So, for example, I'm married to a white woman, so we're an interracial couple. We got biracial kids. So when you think about our perspective, yes, me and my wife come from two completely different backgrounds. However, we both seek to understand each other's thought process. And my wife, honestly, she's so much more empathetic than me. I would say her passion for what's happening right now goes much deeper than almost anybody that I know, to be honest with you. And the amount that I've learned from her over the last few months, just in response to everything that's happening, it really comes down to the fact, like, sometimes people just don't know what they don't know. People don't know why maybe a deep underlying cause of why they feel the way they feel. They don't know why it's there, right? So I feel like sometimes when we jump on people and say, hey, how can you think that, or how can you do this? Sometimes those people don't even know that inside of themselves. So having a conversation, I feel, it allows for those individuals to start to peel back those layers of the onions inside of them to really check their heart and say, man, what is my belief about black people, right? So the example that my wife likes to use all the time is if you were walking in the park and you saw a group of black guys playing at the park and you saw a group of white guys playing at the park, which one would you think is up to no good? If you have any type of preconceived notion inside of your mind that you feel as though one side or the other is just up to no good, then now you gotta check yourself, right? Because just because there's kids playing in the park doesn't necessarily mean that either one of those groups are doing anything wrong. So if that is a deep underlying cause or reaction inside of your mind, then you got to do some own self-reflection and start to have a conversation to rebuild that to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's
Perfect.
I agree with you, Eddie.
Trying to fade away on me.
I agree with you.
Perfect.
And your wife, she's very lucky to have you as like a great man. And your kids, listen, throughout what happened, the last 3 months, your kids see you as a hero. And looking at through your LinkedIn ID, you've done many accomplished things, my brother.
I appreciate that, man. I'm just trying to be the example, right? I know, the phrase that we hear all the time is be the change that you want to see in this world. And I feel as though, leadership is spelled EXAMPLE. So it's all about the example that you set, but the actions that you do. Because you can speak all day long about what you want to accomplish, but until you start putting those actions or those words into actions, then I feel as though you have actually no clout inside of what you're trying to accomplish. So that's actually one of the primary reasons why I wrote my book in itself, is because I wanted to help other people start to realize that it doesn't matter the environment that you grew up in. It doesn't matter the family that you were born into. You can create the success that you want with your life if you're willing to do some work and start to associate with the right people. So I'm all about breaking self-limiting beliefs. So if people are kind of lost out there not knowing what they want to do, I feel as though that's what my passion is, and that's something that they can glean just from my example and what I've accomplished in my life so far as well.
And what is your book called again, though? What is it about?
So the title is called Unlock Yourself, How to Earn the Success You Were Born to Create. And the reason why I titled it that is because I personally believe that we all have the seeds of greatness already inside of us. But it's up to each one of us individually to plant those seeds in an environment that's conducive to growth. So, for example, I look at just my background, where I came from. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and born into, a poverty-stricken family, a family that struggled with poverty for generations upon generations. And when my dad left, when I was probably around, I think I was about 7 or 8 years old, it forced my mom to take care of me and my brother on a $13,000 a year disability income. And obviously that's not fun, man. It was rough. I remember getting a job, and I was just 9 years old. I sold hats and T-shirts and peanuts down at the Orioles and Ravens Stadium just to make ends meet and go on the field trips and things that was hosted by my school. And I remember having just a dream, honestly. I feel like obviously as young kids, we all have dreams, things that we want to accomplish. Mine, honestly, was to go to the league. I wanted to go play in the NFL. But what ended up happening was because of that dream, that desire to go to the next level, I kind of just made a goal for myself. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get a full ride because I don't want to be having to have my mom pay for anything she can't afford anymore. So I kind of set that out as a dream of mine. And then from there, basically we worked at it. So my brother was a huge proponent in helping me just fall in love with the game of football and started teaching me the things that I needed to know, which then in the end, long story short, I became the first student in my high school's history to ever earn a D1 scholarship coming out of that high school, which was a huge accomplishment not only for myself but also for my family, because then that scholarship allowed me to be the first male in my family to ever graduate from the university. So when you think about somebody who was born into an environment, into a situation where it was least likely to succeed, to relying on the relationships and the association of people that I had around me to then elevate myself to a point where I was able to grow, break a generational curse, where though none of my family had the opportunity to be educated at a higher level or had the opportunities that I now have today. And now my family will benefit that for the rest of life. My sons won't know about poverty, right? So those are things for me is what the book is all about. Is to help people start to break those self-limiting beliefs, those negative thoughts in your mind that maybe seem like you're just stuck in the environment that you're in and you can't move or shift or get out of where you're currently at. I think that's just a false belief. You have to start believing that it's possible for you to win in order for you to start winning. So the book is going to help you really accomplish that.
Right. And this book is be out like available everywhere, like bookstores, Amazon, like Barnes and Noble.
It's primarily on Amazon. So I didn't connect it to Barnes and Noble just because my promotional team just didn't think that was the best route at the time. But it's already out. It actually launched on April 24th, and it skyrocketed to the Amazon bestseller list in 8 different categories in the first week. Which honestly, I had no expectation of that. That was all God's plan, man. That was just a humbling moment from my perspective.
Because he believed that your voice matters and it wants to be heard out and inspires young youth like me and others to pursue their dreams. And
Amen.
Right. And whoever there's listening out right now, let's go and buy Unlock Yourself by Eddie Thompson, and you're gonna love this book. Eddie, thank you so much for being on this podcast episode.
Absolutely, my man. I appreciate you having me. And just for another thing for your guests, if you guys want to take advantage of it, if you take the time to actually buy the book, I do want to give you a free gift. If you want a free workbook that will be in line and in step with the book to help you kind of start to determine your own goals, dreams, and a pathway of how to accomplish it, I want to give you guys that free gift so that could be a huge thing that you can use to start applying the knowledge that you get. Because that's something I believe in 100%, is that applied knowledge is power, not just knowledge alone. You need to apply what you get inside of that book. So if you go to eddiethomason.com/unlock yourself, you can put in your email and everything else, and I'll actually send you that PDF with the workbook inside of it.
Right. Again, Eddie, thank you so much, and have a blessed day, and enjoy the reopening of NYC and throughout America, and always keep moving forward for you and your family. Okay.
Definitely. I appreciate it, my man. You keep doing the same.
All right.
If you need anything, you let me know.
Yes, sir. Have a good day, man.
Thanks. You do the same.
And just like that, your voice can be mattered throughout the whole world. This man Eddie, yo, he is right now, as you are listening, continue to strive to new levels, pushing forward. And if you want to learn more about him, come check his book out. As he said again, Unlock Yourself, which is available in Amazon, and is the top selling. And the word unlock stands for this: U stand for upshot, N negativity, L listening, O optimize, C choices, and K knowledge. And to stand for U, Y yearn, O observe, and finally U unending. As I close out this segment, my prayers go out to the Floyd family while they're dealing with the loss and trauma and the drama that is what is happening across the globe. And other families, Black families who are dealing and reminiscing the same problem with police brutality. This and the injustice that's happening around society, pain and suffering. But overall, negativity. And then that is around people like myself, a young black person, and wants to tell me no because who I am and the color of my skin. That won't stop me. Like you, I will always succeed. I mean, I'm proud where I get, graduating college, owning a car, building this podcast, and doing other things that I will still strive and reach new levels. But more importantly, you. If you have done more things the things that I've done, such as if you start your own business, you are on the road of entrepreneurship. If you start a new family, you create a new love and new adventures and new memories. And if you become famous on the web, on TV, success is anything. While being black and young, never stop and keep moving forward. And finally, my message towards the negativity of the world, and some of you may know this little sentence that is trending as of right now, is this: I am a black man. I build. I don't tear down other black men. I have felt the pain of being torn down, and I have decided that I will deliberate about building others. All too often, we men find it easier to criticize each other instead of building each other up. With all the negativity going around us, let's do something positive. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Power of One podcast. And shout out to Eddie Thompson to being the guest on this episode. And as we reopen the world from this pandemic, finally now, we can 100% keep moving forward to the opening doors of the new world.